Yo, what's up guys? Joker bringing you another video for Season 9 of Torchlight Infinite. I wanted to go ahead and get started on these currency generation guides that I plan on making. So this first one's just going to go over all the strategies that I've been running, and then we're going to, in the future videos, test like a bunch of different strategies, right? So we've made probably 15 to 20k FE so far in the season. The reason why I say 15 to 20k, even though this only says 13k, is this is the money that I've just made from raw drops. It doesn't count all the raw FE and other stuff that I've dropped. So we probably dropped closer to 15 to 20k FE this league, which is really, really good in my opinion. So the first strategy that we're going to go over, you are going to have to be in at least time mark 7, because a lot of the nodes only work in time mark 7 and above. The first strategy is going to be a generic boss rush strategy. The gist of this is you want to get as many of these star shards as possible and kill the boss over and over again. Because the boss, if you can kill it on 7-2, will always drop two time mark 8 beacons, right? Which are all 3 to 5 FE each. So that's the goal for this strategy, is to try to farm as many beacons as possible while getting some other rewards as well. So if we look at our commodity tree, we have bosses have a chance of dropping Netherrealm Resonance. We have some Ember dupe. We have some Star Shard dupe. And then we have this node right here that has bosses appearing in the map have an 11% chance for 2 additional bosses to appear in your map. If you are not that strong, do not take this node. As you can see, it says minus 50% additional damage to bosses. So essentially you do half the damage you would normally do on bosses. If you're not strong, don't take it. Like if you're barely clearing time mark 7 anyways, don't take that node. Then we have our beacon tree. Queen's Disciples, I hype up all the time. They're amazing. They drop a shit ton of beacons and usually a decent amount of gumball currency as well. Like the other currencies, like sometimes you get some FE, sometimes you get Netherrealm Resonance, right? Flame Sand, all of that. Embers. And then we have the 0.3% chance for a boss, for Netherrealm Resonance that a boss drops to become beacons. This is really good with the Netherrealm Resonance node that we're taking because it has a chance to turning those into beacons. And then over here we have a 3% chance for bosses to drop 1 additional beacon. Reason for all these nodes is we're gonna want to over sustain, right? We want to over sustain hard. In the compass tree, this is something that you do not need, but you can go ahead and take this. We're essentially just grabbing some compass nodes for the chance of not only replicated compasses, but when in Netherrealm stages, the first rare monster that takes damage from the player will have a blessing that gives it a 6% chance to drop 1 additional compass, right? So the first rare mob you kill essentially has a 6% chance to drop a compass, and there's the chance for it to dupe. You do not need these points. Next thing is God of War. You do not need these points either, but if you have them, they do help you out a lot. God of War makes you faster. It gives you more AoE. I think it even gives you some strength, right? Besides from that, in the Eterna tree, we're coming down here and we're grabbing Negligent. This essentially has a 5% chance for the Blade of Eternal Obsession to appear. What the main reason we have this guy is a boss, right? So he's going to benefit from all of our other nodes that say bosses drop Netherrealm Resonance, bosses drop Bling, bosses drop this. He's going to benefit from that. And then the last set of nodes we're taking are going to be Snow Paper Fragments, with bosses dropping 1 additional set of Snow Paper Fragments, and then bosses dropping another set of Snow Paper Fragments. That's essentially just like the additional gumball on top of what you're getting from the we're just making the bosses more lucrative and more rewarding that way, right? You can definitely do this in 7-0 If you don't have 7-1 or 7-2 done, you will have to cut some points. The primary points that I would suggest you cut out would be, like I said, the God of War and the compass nodes. You really don't need those, as well as, I mean, it seems so painful to cut out the Ember dupe because Embers are worth so much, but you can cut out the Ember dupe as well. And then for our primary constellation, or whatever, the profound talent constellation, you're going to be over here taking this node. If no compasses are placed when starting a Netherrealm stage, there's a 25% chance for 4 additional bosses to appear in the stage. So with this and with this, you're going to be able to kill several bosses per map, right? You're always going to be killing 3-4 bosses per map because you have the map boss, you have the Eternal bosses that can show up, you have the additional bosses from here, and then you have the additional bosses from here. So majority of the time, you're going to be killing 3 to 4 bosses. Now, if you don't have Profound 8 done, you don't need these points, but if you do and you want to go back and farm this strategy, you would want to go ahead and grab these points right here. In Netherrealm stages, Star Shards dropped have a 20% chance to be duplicated once. So essentially what this does is just give us even more Star Shard fragments, right? And like I said, the name of the game for this atlas is just Boss Rush. You throw in your tier 7 map or your tier 7.2 map, you clear it, and then once you have 80 Star Shards, you go over and you kill the boss 6 times. Is that math? I believe you can kill it 6 times. And then you get probably 60, 70 FE just in beacons from that, apart from all the other loot that you would get. In this strategy, you use no compasses. Do not use a compass. If you use a compass, you will be bricking the strategy, essentially because of the node right here that says if no compasses are placed when starting a Netherrealm stage, right? So it'll pretty much cut the amount of bosses you find in half. For the pets that you're going to want to use for this strategy, just go for generic drop quantity pets, right? Because we're not prioritizing any mechanic specifically, we're just killing bosses. You just want as much generic loot in the maps as possible. So I used the Cloud Gatherer Sky for, you know, the Ember drop chance and the drop quantity, the Cloud Gathering Surging Gold for Flame Fuel drop quantity and drop quantity, and then the Cloud Gatherer Sky's Dome for the Fluorescent Memory Shards drop quantity and the chance for it to be duped. Fluorescent memories are essentially div cards if you're not aware. So having this is essentially duping div cards, right? So like if you dropped a doctor, this would drop you 2 doctors for like the Path of Exile players. The next strategy that I used primarily when I was farming time mark 7-2, pushing to time mark 8, was farming the Dream. And the Nightmare is a really good mechanic in my opinion. I was actually taking these 15 points until I got enough money to just infinitely sustain myself on the Dream Compass. So you can take these 15 points, just take them out of something else and put them in here if you would like. But the Dream Tree is really, really good. These mobs that drop the Queen's Grace can drop stacks of 20 sweet dream talkings. Like these mobs are really, really good. Majority of the time, you're always going to get 3, 4, 5 FE from it, even if you don't hit anything good with like the dream talkings. It's just a really good juiced mob to have in your maps. Then we have the chance for the Sweet Dream Mist. Sweet Dream Mist is cool because it gives you chest, it gives you mobs, it gives you lightning, it gives you a whole bunch of stuff. Then in Netherrealm stages, when a Sweet Dream begins, 2 additional Elite Sleepwalkers will appear next to the Dream Lotus. This is really good because it's just 2 elite mobs, right? Then we have in Netherrealm stages, when selecting a Dream Omen, there's a 20% chance that all Nightmare Omens will become 20% additional drop quantity, which is really good because it's just additional loot. Then we have essentially 15% chance to enter a Nightmare, minus 15% chance to enter a Nightmare at 5 Dream Stacks, which is really good because you want to try to get as many Dream Stacks as possible. You're going like deeper and deeper into the Dream, right? And then this does essentially the same thing, but it's minus 20% for 4 and onward. So really, really good. Then we have over here minus 5% chance to enter a nightmare when the number of dream stacks hasn't reached the upper limit. And in Netherrealm stages, when selecting a dream omen, there's a 20% chance that all omens will become 20% additional quantity, right? So this one and this one essentially do the same thing, but they add different div cards, right? Div cards, different confusion cards. Sleepwalkers have a chance to drop additional sweet dream talking. Netherrealm monsters have a chance to drop additional sweet dream talking, and then this one as hopeless nightmare reduces the chance to enter a nightmare when the number of dream stacks hasn't reached its upper limit. So what this looks like, let's go ahead and refresh it here so you can, oh shit, we don't have any refreshes, really? What if we go to 7-0? We have to have refreshes here. Okay, so we hit refresh and we don't do this. Don't roll for it. I just want to show you what it looks like real quick. Okay, here's one of them. 12% chance for an additional sweet dream mist to appear and 100% additional drop quantity. Mist that moves around randomly on the map during sweet dreams. When you approach the mist, it will dissipate and trigger special events with a chance to grant you additional rewards. And like I was saying, you can get mobs, you can get a loot chest, you can get lightning, you can get a bunch of beneficial effects from the Sweet Dream Mist. So that's what we're taking on the Sweet Dream Tree. And then we're taking God of War to make our maps go faster. And then we are taking Netherrealm Resonance and and the Ember Dupe. The reason why we still have this is because the Dream does actually spit out a bunch of bosses. These mobs are bosses, so they will have the chance of dropping you the Netherrealm Resonance. So since we're doing that, we're also taking this node over here for the 0.3% chance for them to drop us a beacon instead of Netherrealm Resonance, right? And then the 3% chance for them to drop one additional beacon. Queen's Disciples is just amazing, and 16% chance for Beacon Dupe. Once again, we want to sustain. That's all the points there. In our Profound Constellation for Dream, we're taking the node right here. When Netherrealm Chaos Invasion starts, confusion cards drawn will be rarer. So essentially, the confusion card that I just showed you, how it's like a purple color, means it's a rare confusion card. This just helps making you get more beneficial confusion cards for your mapping. Then we have this node right here. When the number of cards in the confusion deck reaches 40 plus 5 drop quantity. When it reaches 50 plus 5. I currently have 47 cards in my confusion deck, so I'm only getting a slight benefit from it, but 5% drop quantity is still 5% a drop quantity. And for compasses, you're just going to be using this Nightmare Compass. This is what's going to be forcing Dream onto the map for us. If you don't want to use the compass, or you don't have enough points, what you're going to want to go ahead and do is just start cutting off loose ends, right? The biggest thing that you can cut off is God of War, and you can use a God of War compass instead, and it would accomplish effectively the same thing. For pets, I used the same exact pets that I used in my boss rush strategy because I do not have the dream pet, right? If we go to dream, I don't have any of the pets. If you have these pets, obviously you're going to be wanting to try to run them. But if you don't, just have generic drop quantity pets, because Dream itself spits out an incredibly large amount of generic gumball currency, and these just help give you more of that generic gumball currency. Let's talk about the third and final strategy that I've been running. This is the strategy that I've been running since I moved to Time Mark 8, and it is primarily cube and blacksail. In the cube, we're taking primarily all of the nodes except for the chance for cube, because we're using a compass, and this node that gives us 30% reduced desire crystals, essentially. Even though coveting a cube of carving has a 15% chance for a desire core. Since you have 30% less desire crystals, the chances that this is actually going to be very beneficial is probably pretty low, right? So overall, I just opted out of taking it. I might test it later, but as of right now, it's just not worth it to me. And then in the blacksail, we're taking a chance to skip the anchor, right? And then this node for Whisper of Wander, which gives us quantity and rarity. In my opinion, this is the best way to juice blacksail without the pet and like trying to farm for memory specifically. If you just grab all of the generic quant and rarity on every bubble, on every anchor, you're still going to shit out a stupid amount of generic loot. You'll drop like 150 memory scraps per fight. You'll drop a ton of memories. You'll drop epic threads. Like you drop a lot of stuff. And then over here, we have this node right here. In Netherrealm stages, completing a plain anchor will grant a 3% chance for this round's Void Sea treasure drops to be replicated one time. In Netherrealm stages, completing a plain anchor will grant a 3% chance for this round's Void Sea treasure drops to be replicated one time. In case you don't know what this is the boss fight, right? After you've done the 5 anchors and you go into the boss fight, this is a chance for those rewards to be duped. And then these small nodes are just chance to skip the anchor, which is really good because if you don't have to do the fight, you literally just get rewarded for clicking the anchor. And then over here, in Netherrealm stages, there's a 50% chance for a monster carrying Boss Whisper Void Sea Flames to appear. And this is what gets you the boss fight invitation, which is essentially like, I think right now it's like 20 FE or something. And it adds a confusion card. There's a chance for an additional Void Sea invitation to drop from the plane anchor in the stage. There's a chance for the plane anchor in the stage to activate one additional time, which would just essentially speed up the process, right? And then we have, this is something that you do not need. It's just something that I've spec'd into, and it's priceless gear, right? Higher chance for priceless gear to drop. And then over here, we have the Ember dupe nodes. In our Profound constellation, we have the rare cards and the drop quantity. The reason why we want the drop quantity is because that affects like the normal and magic mobs dropping desired crystals. It helps you get a lot more desired crystals. For the map itself, the compasses that you're going to, I need to go back to time mark 8 to actually use all 3. So this last strategy actually is more of specifically a time mark 8 strategy because you do really need all 3 of the compasses. But the 3 compasses that we use are the compass to guarantee cube, the compass to guarantee the anchor, and then the strength and numbers. 10 additional groups of normal mobs, 20% additional drop quantity from normal mobs. Once again, like I was mentioning, we want a lot of drop quantity because it has the normal mobs from cube drop more desire crystals. That's why this one is so beneficial for us. In this strategy, we actually are running our cube pet. We have a level 3 cube pet. I got lucky and pulled this guy forever ago. And then he was at level 2 because I actually ended up pulling 2 copies. And with the free pet that we got a couple of leagues ago, I boosted him to level 3. And he does have a really OP effect where he triples loot in the cube of rapacity, but level 1 will still give you the ×2, right? The chance for you to get double loot. So at the very least, even if you only have him at level 1, he's still worth running because you get desire crystals, divinity stone, and drop quantity on top of his effect. Apart from him, we're using the Surging Gold Cloud Gatherer and the Sky Cloud Gatherer for embers and flame fuel. And those are essentially the 3 strategies that I've been running to farm all of my currency this league. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully one of those three strategies do help you out. I'm definitely going to go ahead and make another dedicated video to each strategy, running an hour of each strategy to show you like expected drops per hour from each of the three strategies. Like in the boss rush strategy, I am going to go to time mark 7-2 and do it there. And then the other strategies I'm probably going to be running in time mark 8, because you really want to try to push into time mark 8. The amount of raw loot and raw FE that drops is just insane. It's an insane difference from time mark 7, right? I believe you only need like 1.5 billion deeps to move to time mark 8. So if anything, try to find someone who will kill your Traveler 7 for you if you can't do it on your own, and try to get to that about 1.5 mil, and you'll be cruising in time mark 8. It's really, well, not cruising, but you won't be really struggling that hard. It gets more and more comfortable the more damage you get. But even if you're clearing slower, like let's say you're clearing a minute slower per map, you're going to be getting infinitely more currency doing it in time mark 8 than time mark 7, even if you do twice the amount of maps in time mark 7, right? Because time mark 8 unlocks drops like a stack of 20 FE. It increases the drop quantity of flame FE in general. It unlocks the tier of uniques. Why am I explaining this when I can literally just physically show you? So if we go over here and we look at time mark 7, you'll see we have a 55% quantity bonus, and that mobs have a chance of dropping FE, right? If we go to time mark 8, we unlock fossils and an entire another tier of legendary items, as well as we get drop quantity, right? We get a lot of quantity farming time mark 8 compared to time mark 7. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to go over in this video. Showcase the three strategies that I've been using in my farming to progress from time mark 7 to where we currently are on the character. I have taken the last couple of days off because I've been playing old school RuneScape because they had a new boss that just dropped, but I'm pretty much done with that for now as well. So I'm hopping back over to Torchlight. Like I said, we're going to be doing a video on each of these three strategies, running them for an hour and showing you the profits that we get from them. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date with this and future content. And until next time, take care.